Me, it is Ashley coming on live tonight to do the topic that you all requested, which was to talk about chosens, what they go through. They not like us. Um, the chosens are special and or a separate sect of the population, I would say at this time. So you guys requested to know more about chosens, what their paths are like, what they're going through. Now the thing is that because I am who I am, I must be honest and frank with all of you. The Chosens are a separate sect. I will acknowledge that. But I also feel like at this particular time of human evolution, we're actually going through what we call an ascension. Okay, so the ascension overrides everything. And what that means is that the consciousness of the entire planet is rising. Okay? And in order to do that, you have to understand if you are like, what is going on at this time? Why do I feel different? Why do I feel like I can discern more? Why do I feel like people are hating on me? Why do I feel like I'm going through an ego death? What is an ego death? Why do I feel like certain things that were interesting to me years ago are no longer interesting to me anymore? Where did this huge transition and change come? That's a question you have to ask yourself. And if you're asking yourself that question, it's because something is changing within you. Now, could that mean that you are chosen? Perhaps. Could that mean that you are a star seed or an empath? Perhaps. The reason why these three things get floated around all the time online and everywhere you go is because these are, let's just say, when Creator decided to raise this race up in terms of a conscious elevation of what we are going through. This is the big evolution that we are seeing right now. This point in time is when all of us get the chance to raise as souls on this planet. And how we do that is by bringing up the consciousness. And how do we do that? By actually getting everybody to think and elevate outside of the dynamic or the matrix that we're currently in. And if you're asking yourself, what is the matrix? The matrix is the programming that we have been taught, and basically education, our government system, everything that you refuted, just to make it as simple as possible. Think of yourself as a 7-year-old child. If the 7-year-old child saw the world right now, what would your 7-year-old self say? Now, if your 7-year-old self would say, oh, this is ridiculous, that is ridiculous, this is ridiculous, and I mean it in the most honest sense, like one who does not have any skin in any game, would say a lot of things right now and have been for millennia ridiculous, in the sense of like who we are as human beings, if we're trying to propagate the race, if we're actually trying to do the best thing for our race. These are the ridiculous things that take place on this planet that we all understand and know somewhere deep down inside. Yes, we might be a part of it. Yes, we might be participating in it. But we know that somewhere deep down inside, these things are false. So once you realize these things are false and you actually take a active look, and you're able to say, you know what, something's off. That is the first kernel or the first spark of this ascension for you, for everyone else. Because the thing is, that means you are on. You are on as a soul. You recognize that there is a shift, there is a change. You realize what's ridiculous out there, and you realize what's actually happening is not just happening just to you. It's happening to a lot of us. Almost all of us on the planet right now are feeling different. This is not just because of internet. This is not that internet does not help this, but what's happening is that the whole world is being elevated spiritually, energetically, emotionally, to a place where we're getting away from things like abuse, where we're getting away from things of deceit. We're getting away from things that just don't make sense anymore. We're actually trying to get back to what is most wholesome in our actual heart. And that is ideally what is happening in the ascension process of what we are all going through. So why people talk about those three things, the chosens, the star seeds and the empaths, is simply because there is a difference in these categories. Okay. For all of the populace out here, there is what, 8 billion people right now? There are a lot of souls partaking on this planet that are living different ages, meaning we have children, we have, preteens, we have teens, we have elderly, we have middle age. There's a whole slew of different ages going on right now as we speak. As I live and breathe and talk to you, there are people all around the world living. And the thing is that a lot of us are all feeling this way because the system or the matrix that we're living in is breaking down. People are asking questions. People are trying to figure out what's going on. Now, I'm going to talk about the topics that you guys asked me about, but I had to put that out there because a lot of us out here feel this, are engaged with it, are asking questions, are probing, or figuring out something, or wanting to be more spiritual. We're actually clinging to that spirituality more so than ever before, because that is actually what we lost, especially in the last 100 years after the Industrial Revolution. You can see it everywhere. Greed is what fuels this world right now. And in a sense, creativity and actual pride in self and pride in humanity has fallen away. And because we've gotten so far away from that connection to humanity, we're, as a populace, are trying to reach back to spirit. So as we try to reach back to the spirit or the elevated consciousness of where we believe we should be as a human race, these groupings, be it the chosens, the starseeds, the empaths, and the empaths can fall into either category. So I'm just putting them as a separate because I think first and foremost, people resonate with empathic understanding. That's where you start to realize if you are a starseed or you are a chosen or you are ascending. Because the thing is an empath, you feel feelings deeper. If you could understand, and please, I know I'm going off topic from where I stand on my spiritual journey. Emotions are the most understood universal thing that all beings share is emotions. The emotion of love, let's say, for example. We as human beings have to first understand what it is to be empathic, meaning that if you are a soul who is at a stage of evolution in consciousness, you realize that you are becoming more emotionally secure and sound at this time, simply because you're starting to really work through the healing. You're starting to really work through what I said before about the ego death, the shadow work. All of these components are a part of this ascension journey. So as you're going through this journey, you may not be a starseed, you may not be a chosen, or you may be just an empath at this time. And that's okay. Empaths are the start and the gateway to the understanding of the spirit, because you start to embody and go after things like love, understanding love to its fullest degree. And this is felt and understood across all different races. Love is one of those emotions that all races, it doesn't matter if they're on the dark side or the light side, that they will understand. The only reason we even have evil on this, or evil, the word evil, is because it's devoid of what? Love. Emotions are the catalyst to what all the understanding is of an ascension. So the thing is that if you are feeling like you are empathic, like you feel these feelings, work with that first, okay? Because the thing is that as you evolve in these feelings, you start to better understand how and who you are as a soul. Now, how I'm getting into these other two, which is the chosen and the starseeds. Why I put them in two different categories, I know this was going to be specific to chosens, and I'm going to start with that one. And then I'll talk about the starseeds, because I bet you there's some people on this video, or will see this video, that are like, I don't really resonate with the chosens, but I like what the chosens are saying because they're elevating me mentally and emotionally. But you're like, I just don't feel exactly like that. So that's why I would say starseeds are a totally different breed. And the thing is that that's okay, because the most important point, like I said from the beginning of this video, is the reason why we are all here at this time, the chosens and or starseeds and or empaths, which are empaths are evoluted, emotionally conscious beings on this planet right now. The reason why we are the first responders, I would say, or the ones that are elevating first to then basically coach the other people around the world, is because, let's say, for example, I came on several years ago. There's people that came on maybe years before me. There's people that are coming on now. As we all evolve, we will all pick each other up one by one. You might hear my video right now, get some piece of information, and then you might go share it. And the domino effect keeps going. That's what Ascension is designed to do. Now, the Chosens. Why the Chosens are a little different than Starseeds, I would say, is because they have some characteristics that are different than starseeds. Simply because they tend to be more cultivated or more interested in, I would say, even from childhood, even before they became religious, even before they even got told what religion was. These children would honestly be the mediators in the, in the playground. They would have been the children that would have been standing up. They would have been like somewhat of what you would say the leaders are naturally as children. And the thing is that as they got older, their passion and their passive self, meaning that as chosens, we tend to be brought down in life a lot. We have these like contracted style of lives to make us things like the scapegoat. We have this complex of wanting to be like the sacrificial lamb in a sense, and we have this huge affinity for justice and for truth bearing that is beyond measure. Okay, so the thing is that chosens tend to be recognized from a very young age. People in your family and people around you, your friends, most likely always knew this about you. They always knew that there was something different about you, there was something special about you. You would throw yourself under the bus to save another person. That's the type of person a chosen is. A chosen is a more Christed being, and it doesn't mean that they were a Christian. They're a more Christed being even if they were Muslim. They're a more Christed being even if they were Buddhist, because the consciousness of the Christed self is one who imparts love. And like I said, back to the empath thing, it's like in order for you to even get to a place where you would understand love, you have to go through a lot of pain. And I would say chosens have particular life paths that are very intrinsically adorned around those that wish to inflict pain. And I mean this in the sense because chosens tend to be somebody who's like not flashy but yet gets attention, not trying but naturally gets attention. They are like this because they stand up for things that no one else would ever stand up for. They do things and they don't conform to the matrices even from a very young age. They tend to be some, I would say, that are against authority. They tend to contradict authority. They tend to always ask questions about authority even from a young age, simply because the thing is they tend to be older souls in general, and a lot of them have a huge affinity for Christ and maybe angels. Being that the chosen, or those of that particular set of style of being, tend to find affinity with those characters. And the reason why I think this occurs, and please know that this is just my personal feeling, okay? Every time I think about genes and genetics and how humans evolved on this planet and how many millions of years we've been on this planet, we are not fully incompatible with those of our ape or monkey or orangutan counterpart. We are basically bipedal beings that are 1.2% different than our supposed start off point, if you want to look at evolution and where that came from. So the thing is that we as human beings have always been set apart. We weren't in congruency with the apes that we supposedly came from, and there's this 1.2% of our genetics that doesn't make any sense. Scientists still can't really place together. So it makes you wonder, if we are not truly that fully, and we are this type of being that is more special than the other beings here, just as humans, our geneticities is also indicative of us being a little tampered with or a little different, or we come from a place of a different nature aside from what we were told by evolution. So what I would say about the chosens is that if you could think of it that way, in terms of genes, let's just say we as humans, we don't make genetic sense here on this planet, then I would say the chosens are next level genetically. And I'm not saying that we hold genetics of a Christ itself, but I would say that our soul genetics, if you want to put it that way, we are souls that tend to be older, okay, meaning that we may have incarnated a lot of times on this planet, or we're the type that haven't incarnated in a long time, but we're so ancient in the sense that we've been in the Christed consciousness before we ever came into this whole play of life that we're in right now. And I know that I'm a little far-fetched with my version of the chosens, and that's totally cool, because I am someone who has walked this path, and I know that for those that I truly feel are also chosen, we tend to make the same sense, okay? And it's because we have this Christed self within us, okay? And I'm not trying to brag, I'm not trying to boast, why you may say to yourself, why does it seem like there's more than 144,000 people claiming to be chosen? And that's a very valid question. I've even asked that myself. But what I would say is that because we are humans that are evolving, we're ascending as a populace, our predisposition as humans, we were all created by God. We all have the spark of God within us. We are all given the right to ascend. So the thing is what I would say about the 144 is that they perhaps, put their hand up and said they specifically wanted to incarnate at this time in order to help elevate and rise the consciousness. That is the difference of the soul of the person who is a chosen coming into utero, so to speak, to be here at this time in order to elevate the consciousness. As truth bearers, as those that carry the Christic consciousness or the way to profess the Christic consciousness upon the planet and to uprise all those around us. And I'm sure that some of you on this feed that may see me down the road may feel the same way too. You don't understand why you tend to always have people ask you questions on how to be. And that goes back to that empath thing. You tend to be an empath, and it doesn't matter if you are a chosen and or a starseed, because you have to have emotional intelligence. And the only reason why chosens tend to have a more horrid or a more complicated life or a more treacherous life is because we need to learn this this way of gaining emotional intelligence. We not only have to understand where our ancient soul comes from and why we end up seeming weird to the rest of the populace that is still within the matrices, is simply because we're matrice breakers, okay? Chosens are matrice breakers. We're here to show others how to get out of the matrices. And the thing is that it's like as if we come missing that filter that others have right now at this time and place. So I would say as a chosen, there are a lot of people saying they're chosen, and that's totally cool. That's fine, because it just means we're all elevating. But at the same time, there are those that I truly believe are branded or marked as, Revelations does say. And I will just say this, because I am not somebody who's a Bible thumper, but I do bring in the Bible here and there. And what I will say is that they do talk about the 144 in Revelations, right? And for those of you that have ever watched anything I've said, how I've said that we're all on this frequency, we're all on this consciousness, we are all in this Christic consciousness, we're all reverberating at the same radio frequency. There is a line in the Bible that kind of describes this as well. That basically, the 144 that they talk about, who have the name of the Father written upon their foreheads. And they hear a voice of heaven like the sound of many waters. And like the sound of loud thunder, the voice I heard was like the sound of harpists. Harpists, okay? Playing on their harps. And they sing a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and before the elders. No one can learn that song. Okay, no one could learn the song except the 144,000 who have been redeemed. And I'm bringing this up because it's like, of all the passages, why did they bring up this idea about only those that are chosen can hear the song, can be on that vibe, can be on that frequency, that Christed consciousness, that reverberation of expansive soul of self. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm not trying to set us apart or set chosens apart. It's simply to say that maybe, going back to the whole genetics thing, maybe there is something to be said about chosens being of maybe a different makeup, so to speak. They come from the Father. They have the Christed, like Yeshua lives and breathes within a chosen. And the thing is like I said, it has nothing to do with religion. Usually chosens from a young age already could understand. Do you know that, at least for me, speaking just for myself, the reason why I knew the Catholic Church was such a sham, even from the beginning, was because I followed Jesus's teachings. Here I am, I'm like 8 years old in a church, and all I see is a bunch of idols everywhere. All I know is I'm 8 years old and I see them asking for money. All I know is that they're setting themselves apart, saying that they're like God. All of those things were like ding, 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 ding. Jesus didn't say that. Jesus doesn't want idols. Jesus doesn't want us to think we're separate from the Father. Jesus doesn't want us to be lending money or moving money in the synagogue, aka the church. So it always was like following Jesus, even from a young age, just from the simple words he spoke in his book or any book of the Bible. And I'm not a Bible thumper, but it's like, even if you follow Jesus, you realize that the churches themselves were based on a sham lie. It's like the people that killed him are the people we're following now. Like it doesn't make sense. And only through walking with Jesus or learning Yeshua's, stories and parables, etc., would someone be able to discern that. And that is exactly why the Chosens are slightly different, because the thing is that was something that was innate in them from the get-go. I didn't need to go to Catholic school to know about Jesus. I actually had to run from Catholic school and Catholic church to get to know Jesus. That's the funny thing. So that most of us, if we are on a Christed and or let's say chosen journey, we tend to have a huge affinity for Jesus. Huge affinity for Jesus, and perhaps the angels. We feel very tight. And even if you are not from a religion that has anything to do with Jesus, when you hear the slogans or when you hear his words, you tend to like naturally gravitate through your heart. So I would say that's another reason why Chosens kind of stand out. Okay, another thing that I would say, like I go back about the life path of a chosen, they tend to be harder. And I'm not saying that nobody's life is not hard, but I'm saying the reason why they're harder is because in order for us to understand the capacity of the Christ itself, we may have to go through trials and tribulations and tests through our lives. And the reason why we tended to be scapegoated, and the reason why we tended to be the martyr, and the reason we tended to be the sacrificial lamb in our families and in our friends, we were naturally, I would say, hated upon, or naturally being judged all the time, or naturally people were just envious of us for no apparent reason. Chosens don't tend to be those that go out of their way to actually try to gain attention. Hey, somebody chimed in. Yes, see, they don't teach Christ's teachings. They worship his death instead of his life. They put the idol of the worst time of his life on every single, you don't see pictures of him walking out of the cave, ascending 3 days later. You get what I mean? Thank you. Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks for chiming in, because that is so true. It's like, but the thing is that Chosens tend to already be like, this is all a sham. And it's something that they have innately. It's something they know, like when wrong is being done, they know. And they didn't have to learn it through a book. They actually knew it kind of from the get. It was like, that's why I said on the playground, those children would have been the mediators. Those children would have been the ones punching out the bullies for the, they tended to be more of the little mini heroes out there for some unapparent reason and unbeknownst to themselves. They didn't know why they were naturally like this, but they tended to be like that naturally. Now, I am going to talk about starseeds simply because we are also here at the same time, okay? And I want to include starseeds simply because some of you might be, and like I said before, empaths, that do feel like you understand Christ and all of that, and you're really about that way, and you're like, but there's something else going on with me. I can't really put my finger on it. Okay, so starseeds, much like those that are chosen, and I go back to the genetics again, because like I said, that 1.2% of our DNA just came from somewhere, and we don't know where it is. And the thing is that to say that God is not a beautiful creator would be another falsity that I can't even step to. On this particular planet itself, there are races all around us. We are all different races. So what would make us think that so above, so below, there would be no other races at all? It's like to say that God just stopped here at this planet and said, you know what, this is the one that's going to be different. This is the one that's going to have races. No. If you can understand that simple concepts, even in our own animal kingdom, there's different races of animals. So why would there not be different races out there? To think that we are the only ones, I think, is very, very small-minded thinking. And if you do feel that way, I'm very sorry. Maybe you want to kick off now, but I am going to talk about the star seeds because they are an also important grouping. Yes, they may not have, let's say, the genetic predisposition of those of the chosens, perhaps because like the chosens, like I said from this passage from Revelations, they are attuned to this song Only the 144 hear the song. Now, where it gets more tricky with the actual star seeds is because the star seeds come from different parts. So it's like you might understand another star seed from your particular region of space or planet, etc., but you're not going to understand all of each other because you're not from the same places. So what I would say for the chosens, I would think in my logics of how we are all of the Christic consciousness, similarly, the star seeds also struggle with this too, because they understand the capacity of an elevated consciousness, especially to understand that if these other races out there in the galactic world of understanding would also be of a higher consciousness. They can do things that we currently cannot do. So to say that they're not elevated, it would be another lie. You know what I mean? They can fly, they have space travel, they can do things. So they are also of an elevated consciousness. Now the difference is, I would say, is that most star seeds, and you can quote me to be wrong, but I think a lot of them tend to be very interested in space and ancient history right off the bat from when they're very young, because there's something about our history that just doesn't sit right with them. There's something about there where they come from. They just don't feel like they belong here. There's a huge feeling inside like, I don't belong here. It's like as if like you're just like, this is a place I got dropped off on and I got to make the best. And if you resonate with that, I would say you're probably a star seed because you really don't think you belong from Earth. You're interested in ancient history, you're interested in space more so than the average bear. That would be a huge indicator. They tend to be great astral travelers because their particular soul cannot stand being here and it needs to get out, it needs to take breaks, it needs to take walks. So I would say if you are very interested in astral travel or you do it, you may be a starseed. You also, as a starseed, could be getting light languages right now. And light languages is, again, please don't get upset, everybody. We're all on team light, if you want to put it that way. It doesn't matter if you're chosen or a starseed. We're all working for God. And God's trying to elevate us all through each other because we're trying to be beings to raise this consciousness. So realistically, starseeds will have more interest in, let's say, the sciences and unraveling mathematics. They'll be more interested in actually answering the questions of, you know, the religious misunderstandings that we're currently having right now. They're going to try to basically coalesce these two worlds. They're going to help people understand how spirit and how, you know, mathematics or science kind of integrates together. Because you have to understand, a lot of people say that science is something that's new. No, it's not. Even people can understand that even magic from like millennia or so ago was in a very close correlation to science as well. So let's not, you know, pick apples and oranges here, but I'm just trying to say a lot of starseeds tend to be the ones that are spiritually based beings, but they have a huge affinity for technology. They have a huge affinity for the maths and the sciences. And they can sometimes already be somewhat familiar with the beings they're most interested in. Yes, exactly. See, me and you, Adam, we could talk about this all day, I'm pretty sure. Well, Mesopotamian Sumerian, yes. You know, they talk about the Anunnaki. They talk about, you know, different reptilians. You could even look at, you know, the Hindus. You know, they're talking about, you know, 4 fingers and all, but let's not go there. or the Chinese with their dragons. Right? Like, we could go all around the world and look at alien species that are already currently here. Bones are found, all that stuff. Giants, it's all there, but I didn't want to go too far off of the beaten path because I'm trying, like, you and I are on this tip, you know, but there's still a lot of us that are shut off and not understanding. So I love to get a temperature for where everyone is. I really do. Thanks a lot, Adam. Adam's an OG. He knows too much already. That's why he's another preacher, right? That's what most of us starseeds and or chosens are doing. We're either preaching or we're helping, we're aiding. Like I said, we're doing it in so many different fashions and ways. So some of us are the type to even construct or create new technologies, especially when it comes to health, healers, etc. Because healing doesn't just, you know, happen one way. Healing can happen so many ways. So a lot of chosens and or starseeds tend to be healers. It could be, like I said, emotional healers. It could be actual healers with the hands, Reiki, etc. they tend to have that healing quality regardless of which side of the coin they're on. Like, for example, Adam here is a star seed, as he claims, but I also know he's a man of Christ. So these two things are very interchanged. Because the thing is, even I think in a spatial understanding, is that Christic consciousness is across galaxies, if not the universe. This consciousness is one of an emotional capacity of an elevated consciousness that's beyond what we can understand in this dimensional existence right now. So I'm seeing a lot of other humanoid, let's say, astral brothers out there. They also have this Christed consciousness flowing through them as well. But as for the star seeds, and maybe Adam can concur to some of the things I'm saying, because if you do feel that any of these ways, I would say also they have a huge affinity to some past lives that they've had, and they tend to be really good at remembering past lives, these star seeds, because they're supposed to bring forth these downloads to help in building, let's say, or creating again. They will bring, let's say, those technologies from things like cymatics, okay? All of a sudden, cymatics is coming out of the woodwork. And if you don't know what cymatics is, it's when you use sound to move matter. And the thing is, the ancient Egyptians knew how to do that all that time ago, but we're just figuring it out now. And why are we figuring it out now? It's probably because a bunch of star seeds started having their past lives come up, and they're like, oh, hey, this is how we used to do stuff back now. Free energy, that's how we used to do it, using crystals as memory nodes. You know what I mean? Using static electricity, using the pyramids as conductors. All of these things were what I believe star seeds actually were bringing forth in this particular time. So I'm saying chosens are very important when it comes to bringing people to the love and the emotional understanding of what it means to raise as a spirit. But I also feel like the star seeds are the ones that have different capabilities that are helping us in different ways. And they tend to incarnate in multiple waves, different ascension times. Star seeds will be the first ones to action, to come down and incarnate to help the humans out, because we are a version of human. And I say that in a sense that, you know, as our galactic brothers and sisters do carry and possess some of the same genomes that we do. Simply because they look like us, and simply, or vice versa, you know, we don't know the chicken or the egg, which one came first. But I'm saying, like, even for those of us that do love Yeshua and love Jesus, there are these correlations through so many different ancient civilizations that bring all these different galactic presences here on this planet. Yeshua also, like, if you even look at his story, a lot of people think that the Magi, or the story of the three wise men, was just a connotation to pinpoint the Sirius constellation being the present constellation at the time of Jesus's birth. Now, the thing is, too, is like, why are pyramids set up in the correlation of the Sirius constellation? All of these things are kind of, you know, under the underbelly of religion, and under the underbelly of a lot of different religions, yet they kind of need to coalesce at this time. And I think that's why at this particular age, at this particular time, as human beings that are trying to raise consciously, we need these, you know, this niche, we need this mix going on, because you cannot just have one flavor or one channel, so to speak, or one song being sung on this planet, especially when this planet may not only be those of one nature. We're not just one race here, so I don't truly believe we're one race, even as beings. Thank you, Adam. See, Lyran. See, like, I didn't want to go into all the Lyrans and all that stuff, too, because some of you guys are Lyran starseeds, some of you guys are Andromedan starseeds, some of you guys are Sirius starseeds, some of you are, oh my gosh, the plethora of different alien species. But, you know, back to the genetics thing and how there's 144 of us, you know, I would say also, too, when it comes to the chosens, what's very interesting is I've always thought that God invited a lot of people, called a lot of people, just like anyone would when they're having a house party, and only 144 showed up. I'm joking. I don't think that was just a bad joke, but I'm just trying to say that might be something that has to be understood, is that I do feel like star seeds as well, there may not be like millions upon millions upon millions of them as well, because I do feel that it takes a certain person or a certain soul to incarnate to achieve the mission needed for that particular thing. So as Adam was saying, that he feels like he's got a lot of Lyran. And may I ask, Adam, what do you think you've gained from those past life? Was it through dreams, or was it just like envisionments or downloads? Like, and Arcturians, yes. And that Arcturians are so cerebral. They're so like genius, I would say. And they have a lot of emotional understanding. Like I've been fortunate as a channeler to actually tap into them once in a while, and whoa, do they know their stuff. I will say. But if you want to chime in, Adam, and let me know how you feel like that has helped you in your journey, that would be really great, because a lot of us do feel like we have Lyran backgrounds or Nordic backgrounds, or we feel like we have avian backgrounds, or we feel like we have Palladian backgrounds. There's so many different races out there, and that's just naming like a few. And there's even splicings of those races, just like we have on this planet. Okay, so to say that there's only like a few, I would say there's not as many as we believe, because the thing is, as all souls here, we are granted by the Creator the ability to rise. And I feel like we are those that were called, or the first responders, to make this happen. And it's just something that takes place. Why our lives are a lot more difficult is because we needed to learn all of this emotional capacity so that we could lead, so that we could spread the word, so that we could do these missions. And as back to what I was saying yesterday, I don't know if any of you guys watched my video, but there's a difference. And what I would say mainly with Chosens and Starseeds is that they tend to adopt this way of being a lot sooner than the rest of the populace. We start to become these soul-embodied selves a lot sooner than those of the rest of the populace, simply because we end up having to be the example of how it's done. If we don't show you that, hey, you can give up everything that the matrices provides you, which is this feeling of lack, which is this feeling like you can't get through life unless you follow certain ritualistic ways of being, meaning going to work every day, going and spending all your money somewhere, getting taxes taken away from you, having your government tell you what to do. All of these things start to break down once you adopt or move into becoming a Christed being, and or actually walking into your starseed background. And the thing is that for those of us that are part of this grouping, we evolve out of it first, simply so that we can show others, hey, we can survive out of the matrices, so can you. We can go find our inner self and truth, and so can you. So the thing is that yes, we are persecuted more. Yes, a lot more people hate us. Yes, a lot more people envy us, simply because we're not afraid to show people what our aptitudes are, to try to reach excellence. And the thing is that what you would qualify as excellent may not be what the matrices would qualify as excellence. Because those that are of this way of being, let's say the Chosens and or the Starseeds, we know how to do things like manifest and transmute. Whereas some of the others, in our populace don't even know how to do that. They're still spewing hate. They're still going after people. They're still trying to get revenge. They're still working within the ego. The ego is the main thing that a Chosen and a Starseed will have to release, even to be on the path of a Chosen. That is something that Yeshua never would have brought with him anywhere. So the thing is that if you want to become like Yeshua, you have to be like Yeshua. Most Chosens have taken that as their pride and joy, to be more like Yeshua, because simply that is the path that makes the most sense to us. We know that when we live in that heart space of where we feel we are most connected to, we feel our best. So the thing is like, how can we feel our best by doing Yeshua's and God's work and not feel like that association is true? And that's the thing that Chosens recognize right away, and Starseeds do too. They realize they're not from here. They realize that they're different. They realize that they're okay with it. And they're actually going to start reaching for the stars and trying to get those downloads and trying to get those past lives and trying to bring it forth. Hours and hours of deep meditation for 3 years. See, there we go. Okay, so the Akashic Records, a lot of people don't even know about that. Yes, people are waking up daily. That's the thing I'm saying. It's like for those of us, we're in waves. And the thing, Adam, come on, you've been on for years. You've been on for like, what, 12, 13 years, like online, I'm saying, trying to spread the word. And the thing is, there was such a dead point for about 10 years where there was no real movement, I would say, in the ways of like a burst. And I would say many like end up seeing this change in evolution happening more so in the last like 3 to 4 to 5 years. Even if you were somebody who was already awake, who was already on, who was already away from the matrices, when the actual pop off occurred, where you started seeing everyone around you feeling somewhat elevated as well or wanting to change, or you'll notice that a lot of people were just moving, going off to find and buy a tiny home, going off to buy a farm. Everyone was starting to find their peace slowly, 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 and change. And most would be like, oh, it's COVID. But what people don't realize is that COVID was part of this movement. Because the thing is like when you're being lied to so badly and when you're being forced to go against your human nature, that would spark anybody's, soul to kick in. And what happens with big changes like that, especially globally, people realize, hey, there's more to this than what we've been seeing for the last 100-year rhetoric. So the thing is like right now is one of the most amazing times because a lot of people are feeling this way. And it's not a coincidence that a lot of people are feeling this way. And it's not a coincidence that a lot of people come on at different times. They are designed to come on at different times. Because the thing is, there's always going to be another wave and another wave and another wave. You might understand me, but there's a lot of people that will watch me. They'll be like, no, I have no clue what she's talking about. But then there's going to be another chosen who's at a different level or a different wave or maybe a wave above me that will be the right resonance for you, that will be the right understanding. It'll be the right channel for you to watch. Simply because we are designed by God to be like this. We are made this way, and that is a key factor to the chosens and or the starseeds. We were souls that were particularly kind of placed here just to do this work. Light bearers across the board. It doesn't matter which team you're all on team light. You're all on team God. You're all on team get it done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you had my spirit. Yeah, back in 2010, and you started making videos in 2011, and it's been a wild ride. Yeah, exactly. But do you feel, Adam, like it's picked up in the last years, or like I mean, I only speak for myself, but I feel like this kick on happened, and I think it was like even post COVID, where like most of it started acting up. And the thing is that Chosen started really talking about the same topics over and over and over again. Whereas like, oh, we're going through this whole test of compassion. We're going through this test of like uniqueness, learning to discern. We're giving up on vices. We're all giving up on, let's say, sexual nature. We're trying to be more devout to our bodies and to our fortress of our shrine. We're trying so hard to actually elevate in all ways. Because the thing is like I can honestly say, and I don't know about you guys, but once I started ascending and once I started like going and listening and resonating with my own soul experience and mission, I felt like I was going against myself by not trying to be my best self for all of you or for anyone who's involved. Because most of us that are starseeds or chosen, we're trying to, like I said, adopt the ways of Yeshua. We're trying to be as clean and healthy, and we're trying our best to be the embodiment of what the world needs to see. Like you can only get better if you see it in someone else, and that is the truth. God will present him herself here physically, I imagine, or in spirit, but it's going to start with those light bearers. It's going to start with those truth bearers. And I would honestly say the chosens and or the star seeds are the catalyst. We catalyze the spirit. We are to catalyze your way of thinking. You might look at me right now and think I'm ridiculous, but then 6 months from now, half of the stuff I'm saying becomes something you would actually think about. And that's the beauty of chosens or star seeds. We catalyze, we sprout forth that idea in your mind of being different, of going after, showing you that it's okay to be your freakishly weird self. You know what I mean? Or your great independent self, or why we end up losing friends. Like most of the people that are ascending right now, you are going to lose a lot of people because your vibration, your consciousness is raising. It doesn't necessarily mean you are chosen, but you are chosen to be you too. Like, that's the thing. It's like there's going to be people that do not get out of this. There's going to be people that do not turn on. And what I say by turn on is to actually go after your best self, to go after your most graduated version of self, meaning the best self that you can attain within one lifetime. The soul is always evolving, and we will continue to evolve. It does not matter that we are in this stage right now. This is a drop in the bucket of time. And what I can honestly say about Chosens is that we were put here on this time specifically to be there with all of our brothers and sisters, and to also try to raise up those around us. Because if you are listening to me and any of this is hitting home, it's because maybe you're going through this ascension journey, and you literally are like, my world is flipping upside down. And why it's flipping upside down is because it has to flip upside down. Is it a coincidence that the rest of the world is following suit? Like, you're losing it mentally, emotionally, and physically sometimes in your own world, and you're like, I've never had to go through this. And yet, everything in the system is looking that way as well. This is not a coincidence, guys. It's because this is an ascension time. This is a time where people need to wake up. They need to take hold of what's most important to them. And the reason why people say, oh, they get hated on, oh, they get this, you know why? Because those that don't hate are listening. Okay? They're going to raise with that chosen. If they're listening and applauding that chosen or that star seed for talking, and they're resonating, you're on the right team. And I'm not going to talk smack about those that aren't listening, but those that refute you, those that are still like trying to hit you with this and say, oh, I smite thee, you're going to hell. I'm sorry, you're still not resonating love, my friend. Love is the first key. Love is the first rule of thumb on any of this ascension journey. So I would say, if you are somebody that is genuinely hating on those that are trying to be of their best self, it's probably because you're really not resonating. And most chosens will go through this, where they, as they catalyze, as they grow in spiritual ascension themselves, they will start to rise and bring their flock with them. And what happens is that as that flock, changes and grows and multiplies, you're going to find a lot of haters come out of the woodwork. And it's not because they're bad people. It's just genuinely because there's something about you that is in direct opposition to what they believe in the matrices themselves. It's just a part of the energetic disposition that comes with this type of resonance of soul. It just is what it is. You are definitely going to be put through those tests, because if you don't realize, you're being taught how to be more resourceful. With every person that hates on you and you learn how to transmute that pain and suffering, you've now become more emotionally inept. You've become more emotionally wiser. You can actually help others get through it. The reason why we're designed or encouraged to grow this way, it's like as if we're those plants that grow out of freaking concrete. It's a good boom. Yes, exactly, Adam. It's a good boom. It's one of we're the roaring 2024s. Like, we're at a stage of evolution. I think the last time we ever saw something similar, I would say, is maybe the 60s. I think the 60s was the last time we were close to actually getting the chance to evolve like this. But because of things like the internet, I feel like this is a big propeller for how it's possible to even do this right now. And obviously, God is the creator and the writer of all scripts, always knew when would be the better time. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, pretty much this is what I will say about the Chosens. We are designed in a way to figure out our uniqueness, our resourcefulness, how to discern, how to see through the lies, how to see through the deceit, to have confidence in our own skin, to have confidence in what we believe in, who we are. And like I said in the video yesterday, it's all about belief, okay? Like, even when Yeshua walked this earth, he said to anyone at any time that wanted to be healed, he always said, your belief in me is how thy shall be healed. It's basically like you believing in Christ, or believing in you, that you and Christ are compadres, in this journey. That's what actually combines within you and actually brings you out in that confidence of self. Because the thing is like, you don't fear, you're not scared, because you walk with God and with Christ. And that's the thing that any human can possess. Any human can grab for that at any time. And that is what has been endowed to you as a child of God. That's like one of the biggest gifts that we're given, is that we can actually reach for that hand, and that hand will be there. And the thing is that a lot of us, because of this conditioning of the matrices, like Adam and I were both talking about, is that the religions are trying to block you from the get. They're trying to say, hey, you got to go to us to come find God. You got to come to us to find Christ. That's a crock of crap. You need to find him within yourself. You need to unify. You need to coalesce with Christ on your own. You don't need to even be listening to me. I know I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot with that, but I'm just a catalyzer. I'm just trying to get you to say that you and Christ are compadres. You and Christ are mano y mano. You have to find that within yourself. So for those of you that are the chosen or not, or just believe that the chosens have something great to say, or they're trying to encourage that part of your spirit to be a better person, to find the best you, to find the Christ itself within yourself, I would honestly say you're dealing with the chosen. And the thing is, chosens most likely had to go through a lot of different trials and tribulations in order to even be at this state of evoluted emotional capacity. Because you know what? We give up on hate like maybe, I don't know, 1,000 lashings ago. Or we gave up on hate and deceit and being burned and being hurt or jealous. Or all of these things happen on a daily, because we were made to be this person. We were made to be this compassionate person, to see from a different lens in order to try to bring those that are still in the ego up, up, up. And the ego is the one thing that holds a lot of our human brothers and sisters back, because the ego is what the matrices is compounded with. A lot of people call this, oh, it's the devil. And I'm not to say that for the beautiful force that is creator, there is not a negative force out there. That is very correct. What I'm trying to say is that with all negativity, that can always be transmuted to the light. And you can always take someone who is from the light and transmute them to the dark. If you think that there aren't empaths out there, people that feel that aren't of the darker nature, you are mistaken. A lot of empaths can be of the light, and then there's empaths that can be of the night. And that is the thing about this dual world that we live in. We are trying to compete or to combat this matrices that is designed based on the ego, which is one of the hardest things for any human being to encompass or to get over. Like things like greed and rage and just wanting to be gluttonous, just all these different things that we work through emotionally, and they call them the sins, but that isn't even what I want to call them. It's just the susceptibilities of life. Like everyone wants to be, loved. Everybody wants to be adored. Everybody wants to, get a hug. Everybody wants to feel accepted and loved. And the thing is that when you are not faced with that, how you as a human being react says volumes about how your view of the matrices becomes. Because the thing is let's say, for example, if somebody grew up not being loved as much and they felt like, oh, every time I had nice things or I had money, people loved me. It's not that person's fault that they will gravitate towards going to make money to find love. Because the thing is, like I said from the very beginning of this, is that love is the emotion that all beings, it doesn't matter where you are in this world, where you are in any world. That is what we're all after. So this particular matrices is designed to starve us of love, tell us we can't have it, tell us that we are in lack of it, and make us use our egoic, let's say more sinful or darker nature to acquire the one thing we want more on this planet than anything else. And it's a very, very diverted way of getting it, but that's how the ego works. The ego is always trying to protect you. The ego is always trying to tell you that you need things, that you need to attain different qualities in order to find love. That's really what it is, because love is what we want. You want the love of the people. Like if you were a homeless person who got the most love in the world just by being homeless, you know what I mean, just chilling back and just being homeless and living your homeless life, you would never even contemplate once if you needed to go after egoic things. Never once. If you had all the love that you could feel and want in this on this planet, you would never want that fancy car. You would never want that fancy house. You would never want to hurt anybody, because our innate nature as human beings is to strive for love. And the ego and the matrices that we are designed and put into goes against that one principle all the time. So to fight through that as human beings is one of the hardest things. You have to fight through the vanity. You have to fight through the pain. You have to fight through the anger. You have to fight through the volatility. You have to fight through all these things, because when you actually conquer those emotions without filling it like a void, right? You actually overcome those parts of yourself, or those ego parts of yourself, and you become more whole and become more Christed. Because Yeshua in his own right didn't have all the fancy things, but it was him himself, just being himself, that brought all this cultivation, that manifested all those people to him. And that's what Christ was trying to show us, is that realistically, you being your best self, or you actually trying to reach for your Christed self, which is you, your ultimate you, regardless of all the egoic and the matrix background that you're raised in, is one of the hardest challenges and paths to ever follow. And that's why I'm saying, it's like when people think that chosens is just a trigger word, or if it's just something that is made up in fantasy, or if it's something that people are using to brand themselves with. Not to say that that may not exist, but there are those on this planet that actually had to live their lives sacrificing, learning, gaining that type of emotional capacity and understanding all through their lives, just so they could be prepared to show how you could do this right here, right now, at this time, to raise all of the others and bring them onto that love consciousness with them. That is the whole point. We're trying to bring everybody with us. So the thing is like, you might be one of those people right now watching me, and the thing is, you got your own people to bring up with you. It's all like a team effort. It's all about, we're all here for the same purpose. So it doesn't matter which of these two sides you come from. Again, I'm more of a unity person. I feel like we're in a unity consciousness. Not just to say Christ is not a unity consciousness. Christ can be found all across the galaxies. So I just wanted to say that. There was one last thing I wanted to mention, because I did get this in the last couple days. I saw a France flag on the floor rolled up. So I don't know if someone was asking where something may pop off for us as a globe. I'm thinking France, because that stuck out to me. And if someone else out there is asking for where they should be moving in this time, or if they're fearful of where to move within the United States, and this is just if somebody sees this, and this message is just for you. If you've been asking where to move in the United States and you're confused, I kept seeing Tennessee several times, and I don't know why, but I feel like it was towards people that are wondering where to go should things pop off. So I got Tennessee for that answer. So I don't know who that's for, but I know that these things were like put in my brain one after another. I saw the flag, and then I saw Tennessee license plate, and I've been seeing Tennessee probably for the last year or so. So I feel like that's a major place that may be like some type of stronghold for the United States. But when I was talking about like who may be the ones to pop off something very soon that may catalyze within this planet, I think France is going to do something. So I just want to put that out at the very end. Sorry, guys. If you had any other questions, the only person that was brave enough to come on was Adam, and I know that it's scary, but I really want to encourage you guys to put more responses or more levels of being, or what you want to know. Because I got a lot more than this. I could go on for days and days about, and dissect everything about everything. So if you're feeling like this isn't useful and you need to know more basic things, let me know. If you're feeling like I'm not advanced enough, I can kick it up a notch. Like, it just depends on where you guys are. I feel like my particular grouping is like the more advanced ascended beings. And it's like we're chilling together and maybe figuring out how we're going to branch out or what we're going to do. But it's like I feel like all of us at different waves have different things to say. So I totally feel like We can all gain things from each other. So if you do see this, just drop a comment. Like when I get these live feeds, I only get the live feed. I don't get to see what you guys say in its entirety. I get some and then it's too fast and I can't keep up. Am I on Facebook? Yes, I am. I have two Facebooks. I have my Up High Healing Facebook, which is for my business, and then I have my personal, which is just Ashley Boyle. So any of you guys can find me, but there's a lot of Ashley Boyles. But I don't care. I put that out to the airwaves because I always like to get to know people. I think the more we can meet and understand who we are, the better it is. Because realistically, we can only communicate as much as we can. So if you want, Adam, I'll even send you a message through your page and I'll let you know. But and I think I also have a connection on my my YouTube page. I think one of the Facebook, the Up High Healing one is there. And then that would connect you to the other one. So feel free to do that if you like. I have an Instagram for Up High Healing. I have an Instagram for God's Plan as well. So I put a couple different things everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I put all of those in the description box on my page. So feel free to add yourself. Feel free to share. Feel free to subscribe. I just want to do what I'm here to do. And then whatever I'm here to do is to help you. That's all I care about. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, money, this, that. Trust me, when you get to a certain spiritual elevation, all these things don't make any, they don't matter to you. I don't fear that I won't achieve my goals, you know, because of money. Money will be there when I need it. When I get to that point of needing, yeah, I'll send you a friend request, okay? But that's the thing about manifestation. Whenever I need things in life to get to where I need to get to, God shows up and I manifest with the universe. I manifest with God, and all of you can do that as well. You just have to have this trust and belief in yourself. That's all it is, because we are of a world of honest, like this is the one last thing I'll say. We are not in a world of lack. Nothing on this planet teaches us that we are in a world of lack. Cells multiply. We multiply as human beings. All animals multiply. Cells multiply. Growth, 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 growth. Why do we feel like there's not enough here for all of us? If the whole natural world here presently right now is showing us that it's all abundant, that it's all in growth, that it's always multiplying, we keep telling ourselves lack, 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 lack. That's a perception problem. Change that perception, change your life, okay? Because the thing is like, yes, maybe you don't need to be a millionaire. Maybe you just want to be comfortable. Because that's the thing. People think like, oh, if you can manifest, why don't you manifest? Because you need heart to manifest. You have to really want something. Anything I've really wanted, I've manifested it. So that's the thing. You too can do that. And if you are somebody that's worried about, oh, can I leave this job? That's what I'm trying to say. When it comes to actually getting into your Christ itself, you have to walk in faith. You have to understand that certain things will be there for you as you need them. You co-create with the Creator. The animals out there don't worry about where their food's coming from. They just know it's going to show up. You know what I mean? They just live their lives being their best self, their best bird self, their best squirrel self. Why can't humans be their best human self? What is it in our mentality from this matrices that tells us that we cannot have what we want? It's a big freaking lie. We can have whatever we want. We just have to want it enough to get it. So that's the thing. Everything I've wanted enough, I've gotten. And the only thing that I can't mess with is free will of love. So that's the one thing. But I know that I'm kind of messing that up for myself because maybe I put myself in a proverbial box because I'm growing and I want to be where I am right now. And that's totally cool. And maybe some of you are also in a, hermited mode or celibate mode or whatever the case may be. And that's part of it too. A lot of us chosens or starseeds, we tend to be hermits simply because we don't get along with a lot of people, and it makes total sense. We get along with those that resonate with us, and past that, it's a little hard to get with people, especially if they're not on the same level as you, especially if they're spewing hate. Especially, like, I can be honest, now that I'm at this state that I'm at, I have a really hard time listening to bigots. I have a really hard time listening to racists. I have a really hard time listening to sexists. I cannot stand these people, and I don't go into a rage or anything like that, because that's the point. It's like you want to cultivate and show others how to deal with people like that. Like, you can't even combat people like that, because people are going to be like that. But I can tell you, it's like you have to learn as you go on through this journey how to actually transmute and show others how to transmute. Because a lot of the times, us chosens, we're always trying to show people how to get through this life of hatred that's being spewed at us. It's like, if we have so much hate being thrown at us, we're showing you that you can do it too. Because to say that you're going to walk into your perfect self, or to walk into your Christed self and not receive hate, the reason why they're going to hate on you is because you're doing something that they're too scared to do. That's all it is. That's all it truly is. That's how it is for all of us in our life. Like, let's say you're the best at singing. I bet you people knocked you down for singing. Let's say the people that you're the best at skating, you're the best soccer player, you're the best. Even when we're children, we're told to not be as smart as we are, because we're going to be called like a brainer or a nerd or whatever the case may be. Yet now that's being more celebrated. But I'm saying, it's like we all go through these matrices of being told to be small, to be less than. And it's like, as you grow out of that and you try to reach your Christed self or your ultimate self, you have to be able to transform this hatred or all this bigotry and racism and all the etc. to love. Because it's like, how else are you going to stop racism unless you love everybody? How else are you going to stop sexism if you don't love the sexes? You have to love both sides. That's why, if you are someone who is claiming to be a Christed person, I can't see a Christed person hating on a sex. I can't see a Christed person hating on another religion. I can't see a Christed person hating on anybody, for that matter. I mean, yeah, sure, you might have a little tweak here and there, but it dissipates really quickly, and at the same time, you're like, oh, they don't understand, or you don't understand, or there might be a misunderstanding that's the reason for the occasion or the interaction in the first place. So a lot of us that are on this path of enlightenment or ascension, or maybe chosen, or maybe starseeds, we have different paths for a reason. We have different levels for a reason, and we have different tendencies and a genetic makeup or soul makeup that is different and intrinsic and unique across the board. So yes, we do have these egoic deaths we got to go through. Yes, we do hermitize. Yes, we do cultivate in healing. We go to heal the unhealable so that we can teach the world how to heal the simplistic things, like love. You know, how to love one another. That's something that we all think we do, but if we didn't do it, we wouldn't be in wars everywhere around the world all the freaking time for the entirety of our history, if we could understand this one idea of loving each other. So therefore, someone of a Christed consciousness who needs to emanate that love, show people how to love, so that you can see that people can do it with you. It's not something that people think I'm like, oh, this is a childhood little child thing. No, to love another person, or to love a neighbor, or to love your enemy, for that matter, is one of the hardest things that anyone can do. So why chosens end up in these horrific lives most of the time is so that they can learn all the elements it means to be. Card time. I wasn't going to do card time. I was going to do it probably tomorrow or the next day, but I think I'm signing off. I'm like so parched right now. Do you like the cards? I always see, that's another thing I got to ask. I got to ask if people even like the cards, but if you do like the cards, please let me know. I like the cards, but I was going to just do this live. It's already been an hour of me going on about chosens and star seeds and ascension. I get so giddy because this this time is so alive. So without Adam coming in again, I guess I'm going to sign off. I do want to say, if you have any other questions about being chosen, or you want me to do specific things, please let me know. Thanks, Adam. I love you lots. I get all amped up because, you know what, this is such an explosive time. It's like, I understand why souls would want to incarnate at this time, because it's like, this is a miraculous time for all of these people to be coming on, to be changing the world. We are going to change the world. If you believe we're going to change the world, if you believe that in yourself, if you can pick yourself up literally harness that uniqueness of what you are, who you are as an individual to its fullest degree. I don't give a shit if you're scared. I don't give a shit what you got to do, because that's the thing. It's like when you're a kid, you were already that person, and the morphing of the matrix is what actually got you away from that. So the actual genuine person you should be striving to be is that 7-year-old self. That 7-year-old self kicked ass. That 7-year-old self knew how to love everybody, wasn't scared of, somebody said something bad to them, and, the love, 7-year-old self will tell you where to go and still love you either way. But you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just going to stop. I could talk forever. Love you guys lots. I'll come on tomorrow. Keep shining bright, Queen. Thanks, Adam. I love you too. You're awesome. And I hope whoever else, I know that there are people that are scared to chime in, but please chime in. I don't bite. I promise. But yeah, I want to get a temperature. I want to know where people are at. I want to know what star seeds are on my stream. I want to know who's doing what. I want to know if people want more about the star seeds. I want to know if people want to know more about the dead. I want to know, I want to know. So, because the thing is like I could talk about a lot of topics, but I want to be a part of this, cohabitation with all of you. So I need the help from you guys too. Love you guys lots. Hope you guys have a jamming Saturday night. I may go out for a walk because it's a beautiful night here in Toronto. It's super hot. As you can see, the sweat. And this is with air conditioning. So I'm just saying it's pretty hot, and I might go for a walk just to clear the mind and be a part of society. So have a good one, guys. Good night.